This is the plaintiff, Desmond Barber. He says he brought his laptop to the defendant's shop for repair, and the guy lost it. Now all his data's missing, and he's here in the name of justice suing this irresponsible businessman for the $5,000 he's surely owed. This is the defendant, Michael. He says a former employee left under bad circumstances, and he thinks she stole the plaintiff's laptop. That being said, he recovered his data from his desktop. He offered to replace his desktop, but all this guy cares about is a money grab. He's accused of losing it all.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says that he brought his laptop to the defendant's repair shop and the dude lost it. But the defendant says he recovered the guy's data and offered him a new laptop. But here they are. It's the case of, I'm sick of your lap dance.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Barber, what happened here?
Yes, Your Honor. So on April 21st, I turned in my Acer laptop with a cracked screen to be fixed.
Just a laptop, or did you also bring them a desktop?
Just a desktop, Your Honor, to have pictures taken off and put on a flash drive.
Okay, and then what happens? Do you call them? Do they call you? How do you find out that it's missing?
After I brought in the desktop, they said that it would take about a month because parts were shipping in far away, and they said that they were still working on it.
Fine. When do you realize they've lost your laptop? Because that's apparently what happened, and there's no dispute.
Around June, when I started calling them about 2 or 3 times a week, they just wouldn't return my call. And then I started leaving them voicemails, and the voicemail box started to fill up, so I couldn't leave them a voicemail. And I even went down a couple of times to see if I could get in contact with someone in person at the shop, but there was no one there either.
Okay. So what'd you do?
I followed the police report. They said that they couldn't do anything, that it was a civil matter, so I then filed a civil court suit. And then I hired my private investigator to hopefully retrieve my property. And she was only able to retrieve the desktop, but not the laptop.
Okay. Now, you hired a private investigator, and how much did you pay the private investigator?
$2,000.
Okay. Do you have proof of having paid the private investigator $2,000? Do you have a canceled check, a credit card statement, something where I can see that you actually paid that?
I just have the invoice.
No, I saw the invoice. I'm asking if you have proof that you paid it, if you have actual proof that you paid it.
I had to cancel my bank account and get a new one due to identity theft.
Okay. When did the identity theft happen?
October 19th.
Okay.
How
did you find out?
I was called through the Social Security Administration, and they had all my information, and they had my banking information, which all was on my laptop that I turned in to get repaired.
I'm sorry. What do you mean all your banking information was on your laptop?
My banking information and all my information through school.
How was it on your laptop? When you say that, I know, but it wasn't glued on. How was it? Was it in your contacts? Did you mobile bank on your laptop? Explain to me how the information was in your laptop.
I did the mobile banking through my laptop, and I had several PDFs with my FAFSA information and pertinent information on the actual desktop.
But stuff had been lost. Okay, but stuff had been lost since July. Why wouldn't you have changed your bank accounts and stuff?
It was under my impression that it was still getting fixed.
Okay, but did you have passwords in your computer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not very bright. You should never do that. Let me hear from you, Mr. Michael, first, and then I'm going to hear from the investigator. Let me hear from you, Mr. Michael. What's going on?
So I had an employee that we let go around the same time that Mr. Barber had apparently contacted our company, my company, to do some service work for his laptop. The ex-employee had apparently taken the laptop and attempted to do the service work herself. That was part of the reason why we had let her go, because she had told us.
Okay, but she told you and then you fired her for it? Why would she tell you then if that's inappropriate?
We approached her on it, and just based on the situation of us never having contact with Mr. Barber. When I say us, I mean anybody in my company that was working for my company at that time.
I don't understand. He says he walked into your physical shop and dropped off the 2 computers.
He dropped off the desktop into the physical shop. The laptop, I believe he handed it to my ex-employee. It was outside of
In
my
your
business,
shop?
not in my shop. The laptop was not given to us.
I'm sorry. Did you give... Okay, Mr. Barber, did you meet that employee he's talking about elsewhere?
No, I walked into the shop and I have a receipt with his signature that I paid for it.
Okay, so where are you getting this story about him? Oh, it's all the evil employee I let go. Where are you getting that story when, he's got a receipt? Here's your shop, and data recovery from a drive and screen replacement Acer. Both of these things are all on one invoice. Why are they both on one receipt? You had said that you went in first and gave one thing and then second and gave another. Here's a service work order for May 22, which is the hard drive over to flash drive. So I should see a service order after that for the Acer, wouldn't I?
That service order is for the desktop, Your Honor. I didn't get a service order for the
Didn't you say
laptop.
that you didn't get any service, you just left a laptop and walked away?
Yes, I paid for it and I got the receipt and the invoice. I didn't get the work order. My private investigator was able to recover that.
Here's the thing though, the invoice that you got, is that something your private investigator got for you? Or is this something that you had beforehand? Because the invoice is dated 4/21. And the service order for the hard drive, which you say you brought in before the Acer, is dated 5/22. So something is wrong here. Let me speak to your private investigator, please. Can you raise your right hand, please? Let's swear her in, Douglas, please.
Absolutely. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, tell me your name, please.
Jennifer Morales.
All right, Jennifer, Ms. Morales. So how do you get the call to try to track down what happened here? What does Mr. Barber, how does he reach out to you?
He calls and asks if he could retain my services. I explained to him that with my training and experience, it's a little pricey, but he was willing to pay to get his computers back for himself and his family with all the school information that he had on there. He's in the military and his student loan information was on there. So he was willing to pay the flat fee that I was charging him. And I said that I will do the best I can for him. So he paid me.
How did he pay you? By check? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He paid me cash. He paid me $1,000 on July 1st and another final payment of $1,000 on August 1st.
Okay. And what is your training and experience?
Currently, I'm a licensed private investigator. I've been a licensed private investigator by the state of New York for 3 years. And prior to that, I was an undercover narcotics investigator for 18 years.
All right. Now, were you a little surprised that someone was going to pay you $2,000 to recover a $400 laptop?
Oh, it's not my impression that the laptop was that cheap. I thought it was a lot more expensive than that. But I know that the reason that it was so important too, the desktop contained photos that they were not able to get off of the computer. And I know that Desmond's father had passed away before he graduated high school. So it was very important for them to get those photos off. And I knew he would do anything to get those computers back.
Let me hold right there 1 second. Mr. Michael, apparently Mr. Barber had tried over and over calling and visiting, and you guys were completely non-responsive. What was going on?
I wouldn't say that we were completely non-responsive. We were obviously
Did you call him back?
Locating.
He went out but he went out and hired a private investigator because you guys wouldn't answer him. And had nothing for him. You didn't have the hard drive, which apparently you ended up finding, right? You found the desktop, right?
The desktop we had never lost, and we actually produced the data off of the desktop for him.
Then why? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is after a private investigator gets hired and goes over and starts relentlessly pursuing you. That's when you guys found the desktop. But why didn't you just? In all those other phone calls from April, May, June, July, before he hires her, why aren't you just taking that thumb drive and putting the pictures on it and giving him back his desktop. Ms. Morales, please tell me how it is that you end up locating the desktop.
I went to his parents' home, and they were elderly people and
Whose
very
parents'
nice.
home?
The defendant's parents' home.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Go ahead.
I went there twice. The first time, he said that he was going to have his son call me, the defendant. He never called. So I went back to his parents 2 weeks later. They were flabbergasted that he had not yet called me. His father was so kind, got on the phone immediately. And within an hour, I received a phone call from a girl named Jennifer, his girlfriend, the defendant's girlfriend. She said, that they had removed the photographs from the desktop and placed them on the flash drive and would be available for me to be picked up the following day at the location of where the defendant's business was. So we made arrangements to meet at the business. And when I arrived, they were still in the process, and it was not complete, even though she told me they had completed it. They were still in the process of downloading the pictures onto the flash drives, which turned out one of the flash drives doesn't even work, and we cannot get into the desktop. And obviously, we were not about to bring the desktop back to him.
The desktop works, though, right? You just can't find
No.
the pictures on it.
We tried to get the desktop to work and get into it. We cannot. We cannot access any of the files.
You raised your hand while she was talking. There was something you wanted to interject, Mr. Michael. Go ahead.
They had brought the desktop in for data recovery services. So it was on purpose that the desktop itself obviously was not working. They weren't able to get the data off. That's why they had brought it to us so that we could recover the data. Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that he gave a thumb drive so you could do something that he could do himself. So it was data recovery on the desktop. And now she says that the second thumb drive doesn't work at all.
When we copied the data with her in front of us, we showed her that there was files on both. We did everything that we could with the tools that we had to give her the information that was on the computer. So, I mean, that's obviously hearsay. I can't confirm nor deny.
And where, well, that's not hearsay, that's direct evidence. That's not what hearsay is. But let me ask you this. Where is the laptop? You just don't know.
No, we lost it, and we offered to replace it.
All right. And what is the value of that laptop?
We valued it at about $200 based on its condition that it was in from what we were told. I never actually saw the laptop, so.
I mean, if it wasn't in that condition, from what I've been able to look up of the statistics of that, can I speak to your client? Go ahead and bring your client back. Thank you, Investigator Morales. You've been very helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Barber, let me ask you a question. What did you pay for the laptop? Because the value you're assessing in this lawsuit and the value that I see for the laptop are very, very different.
It was estimated about $600.
I don't want an estimate. I want proof, because when I look it up, when I look up the specifics of that laptop, it's worth $400. So, and that's not with a broken screen, okay? That's one. Then we've got the Dell desktop, and you're suing for $1,500. If you estimate the value at $600, I don't know why you're suing for $1,500 for that. Then you're suing for $1,500 for the cost of a Dell desktop, but you brought it in for data recovery, so that thing wasn't working when you brought it to them, right?
Correct, Your Honor. But it was still lost, and they wouldn't return it to me, so I had to hire the investigator just to get it back.
I understand that. I understand that. I understand that. But you want me to make them pay you $1,500 for breaking a Dell that was broken when you gave it to them. That's why you gave it to them. Your investigator was telling me that one of the thumb drives, you weren't able to obtain any information. Is that correct? Have you taken the Dell anywhere else to try to do data recovery, or not yet?
No, Your Honor. It's still in my house.
All right. So to summarize, you brought the stuff to them April or May?
April for the laptop and May for the desktop.
You're calling them and not getting any response. You were leaving voicemails. Nobody's returning your voicemails. And then the office was locked when you went to it. And then that's when you went out and hired a private investigator. And the investigator cost you $2,000. And she tried to track down Michael's father twice to get Michael to respond. Normally, I'd look at him and say, wow, are you nuts paying $2,000 to try to retrieve a $400 laptop? But it's not for a $400 laptop. It's for everything. The pictures that he had of his family, everything that he had entrusted you guys, because you guys weren't returning his calls. So he ends up spending the $2,000 to get any response. So normally I'd look at him and say, what are you, nuts? $2,000 for an investigator? But He couldn't even get the pictures, which are priceless, because you guys weren't responding. I'm ordering you to pay him the $2,000 to recompense him for the private investigator. I'm also ordering you to pay him. The value of your laptop is $400. I'm not going to order them to pay you that. You had a cracked screen. But I am going to order them to pay you $300 for losing it. That's $2,300. Your request for additional monies because of lost or stolen identity, I don't know how you could ever prove in a million years to me that if you did have a stolen identity, that in fact that stolen identity was because of this laptop that nobody can find. There are a million ways to have a stolen identity, and they're incredibly, incredibly difficult to trace to where it happened. If you're careless enough to have information on a laptop that you hand to somebody else without encrypting it, then I don't know where else you also have that information. So I have no idea. If your identity was in fact stolen, I have absolutely no idea where it was stolen from, and really neither do you. But I am going to order them to pay you $2,300, verdict for the plaintiff.
So the plaintiff recovers $2,000 at least of what he was at the private investigator's fees that he was charged. Michael, the store owner, are you shocked that somebody had to hire a private investigator to find something that was given to you? Isn't that amazing?
No. Due to the circumstances that we went through and what happened with the business, we had a lot of issues, and I'm thankful that we made it through it. So the fact that he had to do that, I'm not surprised. I'm glad he's getting back what he had put into it at the very least. We wanted to help him from the beginning. It's just circumstances didn't allow us to. So. Well,
listen, you got to cough up the money for that, Mr. Barber. Let me ask you, where did you get the idea to hire a private eye to do this? Most people would never think of doing that.
After finding the police report and hearing that they couldn't do anything for me and telling me that I had to go to small claims, I got the idea to hire the private investigator to hopefully recover and be more personal and get my laptop and computer back.
All right. Well, listen, congratulations. All right, you're getting some of what you were seeking. All right, that'll wrap it up for this case. Let's find out what the judges have to say about it now.
It's hard not to feel bad for somebody who loses a computer like this laptop where you have your whole life on it, photographs, files, memories, important documents, etc. And this young man, he went the extra mile, hired a private eye to the tune of $2,000.
Yeah, I mean, originally when I'm hearing it, I'm like, well, that's crazy because, it was a broken.
It sounded like good money after bad.
Good money after bad, but
first time.
Truthfully, you really can't. You know what I would do if I lost the 60,000 photos of our family that are in my computer.
It would be a holy war if you're trying to get it back.
Now, you really out there, you got to understand that, anything can crash at any time, and you have to have an external hard drive, particularly for the important things in your life that can't be replaced, like pictures. But.
Right. And your identity can be stolen through many different means.
Yeah,
so certainly he wasn't able to
trace,
prove that under the circumstances.
So Victoria wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, my ex-boyfriend brought me a promise ring in anticipation of getting engaged. He's now demanding the ring back. Am I legally obligated to give it back? If it is not a gift in contemplation of marriage, your ex is out of luck. The only way you have to give it back is if it's an engagement ring, anticipating that you're going to get married. Promise ring doesn't cut it. It's yours, Victoria.